welcome back to the CNY Sports Authority podcast. This week, we're joined by Josie Barton of Lafargeville and Josh Madison of South Jefferson. Two people that are helping me out and definitely more your age group. How are we doing this week, Josie?
Not bad. It's been a pretty long week, but excited to be here.
And Josh, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Just finished up with school and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, these two are recent grads coming back and repping their hometowns. Up north, we catch a lot of flack for not repping the North Country enough, and so resolution has been made. Here you both are. The North Country is in full effect, and we will talk about them, I think, a little bit later, and you guys will talk about plenty of teams because there was a lot of talent this spring up in the North for sure. So let's get to the whiteboard. First on the whiteboard, I would like to talk about this week's past Class D games. Josie, what's happening in the softball world?
So for the Class D softball game, I chose Copenhagen and Belleville. They were in a close fight for the first 5 innings of their game on May 16th. Copenhagen led the first inning 2-0, but then Belleville held Copenhagen to 0 runs for innings 2 and 3, while scoring 1 run a quarter, tying the game 2-2 going into the 4th. And then in the 4th, Copenhagen scored 2 more runs and held Belleville to 0, giving them the 4-2 lead. And then once again on the top of the 5th, Belleville tied the game 4-4 with 2 runs, but couldn't end up holding off Copenhagen, who added 1 more run in the bottom of the 5th to seal the deal. There were no stats reported for Belleville, but Copenhagen was led by Riley Presley, with 2 runs, 2 hits, 1 double, and 1 RBI. And then Jolene Easel scored the other run for Copenhagen.
Man, that's a crazy game. The North Country has been absolutely wild in softball. The Frontier Class D has been all over the map. Sometimes they're getting 10 strikeouts, sometimes it's 4. We're in double-digit runs. It's crazy up there. I think I just pulled up Cadence Millard throwing quite a few pitches for the Panthers this year. She had 10 strikeouts in the game. And for the Belleville offense, we had Ella Poulin, 1 for 4 with a triple and 2 RBIs, but probably just couldn't link enough up as they finished. And a discrepancy in the stats. They said they finished with 9 hits, but Copenhagen put in that they only had 6, but Copenhagen had 3 errors, so maybe that could accommodate some of the stat misleadings there. But yeah, the North Country, an interesting up and down there. In the BTM as well, they're all over the place. Right now, Belleville is the 8th seed. That win catapults Copenhagen to the 6th seed currently in the rankings. Josh, what's happening in Class D baseball?
Well, I'm actually going to stick in the same area as Josie. I'm going with Lime versus Belleville. This game was insane. Lime starting the first inning out with a 5 spot right out the gate. Really putting it to Belleville. They held it for a while before Belleville exploded for 4 in the 3rd and then 5 in the 4th. Belleville crawled the way back with 2 in the 4th, 4 in the 5th, and then an extra 1 in the 6th, holding on to a 3-run lead going into the final inning. Somehow the Panthers managed to crawl out and grab 3 in the 7th, sending it to extras before Cullen McNitt drove in 2 with a single. That was actually so exciting that you actually posted it on the CNY Instagram. They won that game 14-13 in 8.
8 inning walk-off win. 15 hits on the day for Belleville. I mean, there was a whole lot of offense. That's an exciting game to see.
Yeah, it sure was. And I mean, I'll talk a little more on Colin McNitt, but he had an incredible game right there against Lime. And I mean, overall, it was a great game to see.
Yeah, that ball was flying all over the place. There were 9 errors by each team in that game, a combined 26 hits from both teams. And this is a rivalry that has been going in the spring for a few years now. These two teams are not big fans of each other. So I can only imagine the drama that came out in that game. And Belleville Henderson repping. Always have the cameras out for those game-winning moments year after year. I appreciate that. It's always good. All right, let's move on to Class C. Josie, what do you got for Class C softball?
Okay, well, someone had to do it. Sandy Creek was undefeated, and we had Lowville that handed them their first loss of the season. Lowville got out to a 4-0 lead after 4 innings before Sandy Creek could even get on the board, and Lowville ended up winning the game 4-2. Samantha Jock threw 11 strikeouts, putting her over 100 strikeouts on the season, and only allowed 6 hits in their win. Sandy Creek had 4 tough errors on the day that led to a lot of Lowville scoring. Michaela Glazer had 7 strikeouts and only allowed 1 earned run in their loss. Alyssa Millard and Madison McDonald both went 2 for 4 for Lowville. Millard and Miri Jancy scored the 4 runs for Lowville, and then Michaela Glazer and Hayden Soluri both had 2 hits for Sandy Creek.
Yeah, what a crazy game. Sandy Creek, before that, was rated the top team in the entire BTM, regardless of class. And beating CNS earlier definitely helps. They beat the North Stars 4-3. But yeah, an absolute crazy performance. And for Sandy Creek, you kind of feel for them because when you take a look at the earned runs, Samantha Jock gave up 2 earned runs for Lowville. Sandy Creek, Michaela Glazer only gives up 1. So if you take the errors off the board, they probably win that 2-1. And unfortunately for them, but great for Lowville, they're able to get that win. What a crazy game. Yeah, the comments on top. And I find it interesting and fun. If you go and look at the BTM rankings, this is one thing that I think a lot of people are still not super comfortable with or understand, but like, class does not matter when it comes to the BTM. It's all about head-to-head and your schedule. So you can go through and rank all the teams by the BTM without the classes in place, and you'd see kind of where teams stack across the section. So right now, after that loss, Marcellus jumps to the number 1 ranking in all of Section 3 with a .957 ranking, and Whitesboro is right behind him with a 951. So that's telling you that the BTM thinks that Marcellus is the best team in girls softball in Section 3 here, with Whitesboro right behind him, and then Sandy Creek and Cicero North Syracuse in the mix as well. So crazy game. Great job for Lowville, having a tremendous season. Lowville's 9-4 on the year, and we'll see what happens as they get into this postseason. Softball season wraps up this Wednesday is the seeding meeting. So we have Monday and Tuesday left to go and a lot of games to get in that time. Josh, how about you? What's going on for Class C baseball?
So for Class C baseball, I had the Port Byron versus Weedsport matchup. Port Byron came out early with 3 runs in the first. Weedsport crawled their way back in with a 1 in the second and 3 in the third. Port Byron tied it in the 5th, and then no one could score until the bottom of the 9th. Port Byron knocked in a game-winning base hit to win the game. Yeah, I mean, the comeback from Weedsport was crazy, and then for Port Byron just to tie it up, for us to go 9 innings. A lot of free baseball. The main lookout for this game was someone who we've mentioned before on the podcast, Connor Usowski. He had 8 2/3 innings pitched out of a 9-inning game. And then with the bat in his hands, he went 3 for 5 and scored 3 of their runs. They ended up walking away with that one 5-4.
That's crazy. 18 strikeouts, 9-inning game. I mean, we got the major leagues up in here. That's a full Major League Baseball game right there. We needed a 7-inning stretch and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's pure. I mean, and just how well Connor was able to go. Like, that's a long game to be out there and to be able to manage 18 Ks. That's a lot.
Yeah, they didn't publish his pitch count. I want to know what that was, because he must not have worked a whole lot of high counts to get that far.
No, I mean, you also add in like 5 walks. I mean, you have to be able, like, I'm sure his arm was feeling it. Even if you don't have that many high counts, I mean, I pitched even just a little bit in college, and your arm's feeling it by the time you walk off the mound.
Yeah. And Weedsport there falls to 6-7 after this week. They had Brandon Thomas and Alex Seward go, kind of splitting the game totally. They combined for 13 strikeouts. So a crazy game, solid defense by the Wolverines in that one, but a dramatic finish. We have been talking about the Port Byron Panthers quite a bit, but I do think this will be interesting when we get to the playoffs, because you can't have one arm. Softball, you can have one arm. You can throw that thing till it's jelly. The natural motion, I guess, is a little bit better for them. But they're going to have a battery. And so far this season, I think Port Byron has shown that they don't necessarily have that, as they fall to 10th in the BTM rankings as we record this today. So they're definitely in the mix and can beat anybody, but it will be interesting to see in those second round games and how people manage their bullpen coming through. I think the baseball gets way more interesting, becomes much more of a chess game in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially like looking through Port Byron, like, I mean, even some of their other pitchers, like Jacob Frantz, I mean, he's young, sophomore. But I think the big key that looking for him is he has 12 walks on the season through 15 innings pitched. Like, it's not, if you're going to go away from, your ace, what you really need out of this team is for them to throw strikes. Let the other team put the ball in play. What we saw in that game, 9-inning game, only one error from Port Byron. That's not easy. When you've trained your team to work through 7 innings, for them to go 9 innings and only have one error throughout the whole game, that's some really good defense. So I think for Port Byron, like, you have your strikeout guy, he's going to be there. You have Connor. He's going to strike everybody out. 18 Ks through 9 innings, like, you're going to have that. But for the rest of your rotation, for the rest of your bullpen, the main game's got to be just throw strikes. If they hit you, they hit you. Just throw strikes. You can get some Ks here and there, but let them put that in play and let our defense do some work.
Yeah, and the North Country, I will say this, when it comes to softball and baseball in Class C, they definitely have a whole bunch of talent that you got to worry about. Sandy Creek is definitely on a warpath to just repeat. Thousand Islands has a thrower there too. Even Beaver River is looking like they are contenders as they topped Thousand Islands this week, which really shocked me. I wish their coach would actually report stats on a regular basis, though. Just shouting that out to Beaver River. If you could do that, that would really help us out. Speaking of Beaver River, their baseball team is on top of the world right now. They're at 12-2, BTM ranking of 817. The next team in Class C is Bishop Grimes with the 638. So they are absolutely cruising. Their schedule has been so tough. Been playing a ton of B and A schools. Their only 2 losses are to Watertown, a AA school. They lost 1-2. And then their other loss was against Lowville, who they had played 3 days before and beat 3-0. Then they lost the second time, seeing them 4-5. And that's one thing that when you get to the playoffs, you're not going to see a team more than once. We don't do the series thing here, so seeing teams fresh for the first time, that definitely gives them an edge. I am curious on some thoughts, though, with Class D with the softball and baseball in the North Country, because they have been powerhouses in the past, but when I look at the stat lines, I am super confused. Like, Sackett's Harbor's coming off of a Class D championship in softball. Phenomenal season that they had, and now I'm looking at them and Alex Bay just racking up, 15 runs a game. Is it a lack of pitching? Is it great offense? What do they have up there? Josie, do you have any opinions on Class D softball up in the Frontier?
Well, for Class D, I think it's mainly just good offense. We've got Lily Green from Sackett's, who's got 21 runs, 15 hits. There's also Paige Britton with 22 runs and 15 hits. And then we've got Alex Bay with Madison Bradley coming in with 26 runs, 20 hits. Sierra Fosenhauer with 18 runs, 25 hits. And then there's Hamilton McGraw, who's at the top of the D seeding with a bunch of experienced and very successful hitters as well. I think it's mainly the hitting that's carrying the Class D.
Nice. Yeah. Geez, 26 runs. That's a lot of runs. And Josh, to you, kind of same question. Last year, Oriskany's good. We know that. But last year, when you take a look at Lime and Belleville really pushing the envelope and being in the mix, this year, their records really don't show that. There's definitely been a bit of a fall off for those two programs. I think the CCL feels real strong with McGraw, Madison, and Stockbridge being in the mix for them. But there's not a whole lot of crossover from either in softball or in baseball. So what are you thinking? What are you seeing up north for baseball?
Yeah, you could tell, I think, for Belleville, for one, I think it was, the people who graduated and moved on, I think it just took the team a little bit to regroup and get back into it. They've played very well this past week. Obviously mentioning their game against Lime earlier, on how they just battled the whole way through. I'm really, one thing that I've seen, like, again, you have your McGraw, Oriskany, and Stockbridge that have just been having great seasons, especially for McGraw coming off of, they were a 5 seed last year in the brackets. Now they're, I wouldn't say they're cruising, but they're doing really good. They're looking at a 1 seed pretty easily going into these playoffs. But the baseball's been, we mentioned it earlier with both the Class C games being Belleville. It's been insane. The games have just been very tight. We mentioned Beaver River earlier. They've taken down South Jeff, who's been a powerhouse for a while, for the A's, let alone for Beaver River, who's a C. So from across the board, it's been incredible up in the North Country, and it doesn't even stop, especially when you go to the D schools. It's just been incredible games to watch.
Yeah, I think I sillily, is that even a word? I naively kind of thought that there was just kind of like front runners this year, and that definitely has not come out to be the case. I think there's a whole lot more parity this season than a lot of people were expecting. I thought they saw some teams graduating and some teams returning a lot and thinking that it was going to space itself out, but teams have really put themselves in a position to be successful, and most of that's under some individual performances. So next point on the whiteboard here is our athletes of the week. Josh, we're going to throw it to you first. Who's your Class D athlete of the week?
So my Class D athlete of the week, again, it's been posted on Instagram. We talked about him earlier. It's going to be Cullen McNitt from Belleville Henderson. In the game against Lime, he went 5 for 6 with 6 RBIs and 2 runs scores. He just had an incredible game. It upped his season batting average to a .562. He needed that type of a game. The team needed that type of a game. They've been struggling this year. For him to just go out and really put a good run on his back, just a bunch of ABs together, really showing some dominance at the plate. I'm very excited to see how he can end this season, and move on from there. But
yeah, that's crazy. 11 RBIs this season, 6 in one game. That's pretty nuts. And a .562 batting average is phenomenal for McNitt there this season. Now they take on Sackett's Harbor on the 19th. I believe that's the start of the Frontier League tournament, which will wrap up and give us our Frontier League title before sectionals. Sackett's Harbor is a very confusing team to me this year too. They started so hot and then the wheels seem to have kind of fallen off late. So that'll be an interesting game, I think, to see which teams rebound and come together to get that momentum going in the postseason. Josie, who you got for your athlete of the week on the softball side of things?
Well, I'm going with Belleville Henderson as well. I've got Ely Vaughn, who hit a grand slam to help break open the game in the fourth quarter against Lyme. They actually finished and won the game with 21 runs to 2. And this past week, she's had 6 runs, 4 hits, 1 double, 1 home run, and 5 RBIs.
That is quite the accomplishment within there. A huge outing, a grand slam. I think that's what everyone dreams of, right? You're sitting in your backyard and you're like self-tossing a ball just to hit it. Like bases loaded, bottom of the ninth. Yeah, that's a pretty heck of a week there. Josh, who is your athlete of the week for Class C?
So for Class C, it's gonna be I'm sure I'm gonna screw up his last name. Gunnar Vielhauer from Fabius Pompeii. He's had a great season so far. His most recent outing that I've seen from him was against Tully. He threw a complete game, gave up 5 hits, had 5 Ks, had only 1 walk, and only gave up 1 run. He threw 92 pitches, but to go a full game against a team like Tully, who, they've been in the middle of the pack, but they're not a team that's just going to roll over no matter what inning it is. So, I was very impressed with that. Throughout the season, 35 and 2/3 innings, a .8 ERA, a -1 ERA throughout, at this point in the season is very impressive.
Absolutely.
For pitchers who have thrown over 25 innings pitched, he actually has the lowest ERA. I looked through that. There's, I think, 10 or 11 guys who have pitched over 25 innings in Class C. So for him to be up on top of that, that's pretty incredible. 36 Ks for him on the season. 13 runs given up. Only 4 of them are earned. So, that it shows that he's been very dominant. He's allowed the ball to get put in play. He's thrown a lot of strikes, which is very important, especially when it comes to high school ball. If you throw strikes, good things will happen for you. And, Gunner's been a big, part of that.
Absolutely. And what a streak Fabius Pompey is on here. A 10-1 season so far. Their only loss is to Class B Hannibal, which was back in April. So they haven't lost this entire month yet. Although they do have a tough stretch coming up with Bishop Grimes twice this week and a rematch with Hannibal to round out their season for the Falcons. All right. Awesome. Let's take it to Josie. Who's your athlete of the week on the Class C side?
So I've got Sandy Creek's Madden Soluri. She had her 200th career strikeout in her first career perfect game in the 13-0 win over Watertown. In that game, she completed 13 strikeouts. Throughout the whole past week, she had 29 strikeouts. And then with the bat in her hands, she had 2 runs, 2 hits, and 5 RBIs.
Nice, yeah. She has been having one heck of a season for the Comets up in Sandy Creek. And at 200 Ks, I know we've been posting a lot of players getting Leah Bray hit her 300th. Ellie Freeth hit her 400th, I believe. We're talking a lot about milestones. I will say she splits time in that circle. So to get to 200 Ks that quickly for them is pretty impressive. And a perfect game nonetheless against a Class AA school up in Watertown. Yeah, what a performance there by Soluri. All right, so that takes up what's happened in the past. Our next point on the whiteboard is what's coming up this week. Josie, what's the game you want us to look out for?
Okay, I'm thinking about Sackett's Harbor and Belleville Henderson on May 17th. Sackett's is 7-5, and Belleville is 4-9. In their last outing, it was a pretty close one. Sackett's Harbor won 7-6. after scoring the walk-off game-winning run in the bottom of the 7th. For Sackets Harbor, they're led by Peyton Britton with 22 runs, 15 hits, 4 doubles, and 18 RBIs. And then we've got Lily Green, who also contributed 21 runs, 15 hits, and 13 RBIs. And then Belleville Henderson is led by Ely Vaughn, who has 11 runs, 12 hits, 4 doubles, 1 triple, 1 home run, and 9 RBIs. And then on the mound for Belleville, they're led by Cadence Millard, who has 41 strikeouts on the season.
Nice. That will be a good game, a big game to worry about as it comes to seeding too. If Belleville is able to pull that off, that will kind of wrench things up a little bit here with the BTM. But definitely a game to keep eyes on. Peyton Britton, solid third baseman. At least she was playing third last year, eating things up. Got to see her first person beat our team in the semifinals last year, and that was painful. Maya Mattis has been in the circle, and that's interesting for the Patriots. They've been kind of working different pitchers in there throughout the season, with Mattis taking some time. But Mattis is an absolute stud of a shortstop, so we'll see how that works out for both teams. Josh, what's a Class D game to look out for this week?
So my Class D game to look out for is going to be McGraw versus Stockbridge Valley.
Hey, we finally got someone out of the North Country from you guys. All right, I was going to pick on you about it.
Yeah, these two teams, I mean, they're the top of the Class D standings. Last year, they were a 1-1 split on the year. And, you know, I know McGraw is undefeated, so it would definitely be an uphill battle for Stockbridge. But last year, it was actually in May that McGraw ended up dropping the game to Stockbridge in a 7-3 game. So I think this is going to be a very exciting game. These two are also the top two of the CCL, so I think this is going to be a very exciting game. And I think anything can happen, especially in the game of baseball. So I definitely wouldn't count Stockbridge out for this game.
All right. Hey, they played this past weekend. Rough game for me to go and watch. I did cover it. Unwillingly, but I did cover it. We rolled up into McGraw for a softball game, which was going to be a big softball game for us. The CCL is either McGraw and Stockbridge, and that could be the case in both softball and baseball. We rolled up into McGraw, and just as we were about to warm up, this giant rogue cloud just came in and completely flooded the infield. So our game was canceled. So we got back on the bus and rolled over to the baseball field, who was playing at Gutches. So their turf was just fine. They had a little lightning delay, so it was a very late night. But McGraw won that one 7-2, but really was just one inning that they couldn't. The Cougars kind of had the wheels fall off for a little bit. The Cougars had runners on second and third with no outs, the runner on third with no outs at one point in this game. So they left a lot of players in scoring position. The Mulcahy brothers on the mound for McGraw did a great job, but we'll see if they can repeat and sweep and take the CCL title. Definitely the game to look out for. If you got nothing else to do, stop by Stockbridge Valley for that one. That'll be a good game. I believe on Tuesday. So check that one out. All right, let's move on to the Class C upcoming game. Josh, what Class C game are you looking for?
So for Class C, I'm going to go with Frankfort Schuyler versus Saukowitz Valley. Last year, Saukowitz actually took 2 from the Maroon Knights, but this year, Frankfort is higher up on the standings. They've had a really good bounce-back year. They're currently 10-3. Their only losses have been some very close games that, really could just be, one error or one, swing away from changing the game around. So I think this game is going to be another close game. Frankfort, again, they are the favorites. They're up in the standings, but these past couple of years, it seems like Saukowitz had their name. So we'll see if that continues this week. That game will also be on Tuesday, but that one will be held at Frankfort Schuyler.
All right. Yeah, that'll be a solid matchup. We'll see if Sequoia can get it done late. And that's really what teams are looking for, some momentum late in the season. And talking about some league top contenders, Josie, who you got for the Class C game?
So I've got Thousand Islands versus Beaver River on May 19th.
As you should.
Yep. In their last outing, TI lost 1-4. Beaver River won by scoring 3 runs in the top of the 7th, and TI just couldn't answer. TI is 10-2, and Beaver River is 12-1. Thousand Islands is led by, of course, the Wiley twins, with both twins contributing 16 runs on the season. Tatum Wiley has 20 hits, 6 doubles, 3 triples, 2 home runs, and 12 RBIs. And Melanie has, she's the star pitcher for TI, with only 17 earned runs, 172 strikeouts, and a 1.87 ERA. And on the other side, Beaver River is led by, I'm gonna butcher your name, I am so sorry, Meliana Giro, with 14 runs, 18 hits, 2 doubles, 2 triples, and 17 RBIs. And on the mound, they've got Sarah Herzig, who has only allowed 10 earned runs and has 54 strikeouts. I think it'll mainly just be a battle of the pitchers and whose top hitters are on for that night.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It definitely looks like with Herzig only amounting 54 strikeouts that the Beavers rely much more on their defense, and she keeps him off balance for some easy outs, while Wiley has got the mix to get the Ks and the speed to get the Ks. Definitely a good game to check out for that one. All right, so that takes us through our points on the whiteboard. Let's get to a final point. And this one's for me to rant about, and my rant this week is about the freaking weather. Holy crap, this has been one of the craziest spring seasons ever. I've talked to my other coaches around the league, and we have never seen a spring like this before. Just so much getting washed out, and I feel like it's been a combination of a few things to make this schedule so ungodly frustrating this year. We have had so the Syracuse area averages about 3 inches of rain a month. Now that's spread around, so usually April and May get about 5 or 6 inches in the month. April only got 2.57 this year for Syracuse, who was so well below the average. The problem is the way that Easter ran and the way that BOCES did their spring breaks, and for some reason, spring break is just an untouchable thing to schedule games on. And that's I think this is my final point, really, is my hatred for this trend. Because I coach a sport every season. Fall, we start before school does. We're there early in the morning. Almost every team is practicing. I don't know why, but from like 8 to 10 a.m. on the Sunday morning so we don't get heat stroke is probably for the best. And so we're there in the preseason. Everyone likes the summer, but we have to take our time and get going anyway, regardless. Then you get the winter season. The winter season is full of a bunch of crazy people, and I understand that being there, but every break we play over. Thanksgiving break, tip-off tournament. You're playing the Friday after Thanksgiving, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, maybe 2 games in 2 days right after there. Then we get to Christmas break. And do you get to take time with your family? Nay. No, we go on Christmas tournaments. So the day after Christmas, we're practicing, and then we're playing probably on the 27th. And then, just when you think you have a break ahead of you as February break rounds the corner, do we get to call it quits? Only if you're really bad and you didn't go to sectionals, because guess when we scheduled sectionals for? The first round is over that February break. And then we get to the spring. The spring, where the weather is so temperamental. And we get to go outside and have a lovely little break. And we don't schedule any games. Everyone goes away and leaves on spring break, and so we just can't touch it. And so this year, because the BOCES districts were on different schedules, some schools had their spring break a week different than other schools, which meant we had a 2-week period, which, if I remember correctly, had really nice weather over spring break. It was gorgeous. It was wonderful, and we would have had a lot of games that we got played in, and instead we took pretty much a 2-week hiatus from spring, which was cool. It was great. And now we reach May, which has 2.74 inches of rain already. We already have as much rain in May as we had in April, and we're only halfway through. It has been so painful. And you compound that with the shortage of officials. There are dates that are completely blacked out because you can't schedule a game because there's not enough officials to go around. We have school, and when this happens, I don't know, we need to start implementing the mandatory cancellation of non-league games or something of this sort, because we're using officials for these games that, you know, in the grand scheme of things, they matter for the BTM, but don't matter for our league championships and records, and your priority is to your league. And now we're running into this lovely end of the season, and it is affecting softball more than it is baseball. Softball already pushed their seeding meeting back to Wednesday. It should have actually been this Sunday, but there's still not enough time. From our own personal standpoint, Stockbridge is playing on Sunday against Brookfield, against Monday against McGraw, and Tuesday against McGraw again, just to get all these games in. We got 3 games in 3 days because of the weather this year, just drowning out fields like crazy. And there's a chance that if it rains again, we'll have to go to sectionals, play sectionals, and then come back after we're done with sectionals to play a league game because a league title is still on the line. The CCL softball is crazy. There is three teams in the mix for the league title, with Cincinnati, McGraw, and Stockbridge Valley. And depending on these Stockbridge Valley and McGraw games, any of these teams could be a 3-way tie for the league title. And I don't know how we're going to fit that in. The other thing about this schedule that drives me nuts is that we are going into sectional time. And the state tourney determines a lot of this. And the state tournament starts on that regional round is June 5th. So our sectional game needs to be done by June 5th in order to get ready for that. But our sectional schedule avoids Memorial Day. So now we have not only just said spring break is untouchable, Memorial Day is apparently untouchable now too, which is very odd. So now we've kind of gotten rid of these games on like a Monday, Tuesday. And so now the first round of games is going to be the Friday after the seeding meeting. If we had more than 20 teams, which I don't believe we're actually in a matter of for D. D is fine. I believe Class C though. Yeah, Class C has a play-in round. Class C has to play that play-in round if all those teams go. They have to play that play-in round the Thursday after the seeding meeting. So they figure out where they got to go. They have to play that game on Thursday. If it rains, the highest seed moves on. There's no time to make up a rain delay. The highest seed moves on, so whoever is hosting that game, they move on to the next round. That first round of games where the first 16 teams are, that's the 23rd. Also has no rain date. It is a one-day only event. And the next round, the quarterfinals, is that Saturday, the 24th. So if no teams in that first round are able to play because of the rain, every top seed moves on and we just go to a quarterfinals. What are we doing? This is crazy. And yet we're not going to touch Memorial Day in scheduling. So we have 4 days off in between the quarterfinals. So there are 4 days for the quarterfinals to play. Then we're going to play that Wednesday, and then we have another 3 days to get to the finals. And a lot of that is determined by availability of Carrier Park and the such. But yeah, this schedule has gone bananas, and maybe we should think about the fact that it rains in New York. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and I've been keeping up with, because for the past 3 years, I was a senior in high school, and then for the past 2 years, I've seen it from the outside in. And it doesn't benefit really anyone. I mean, we see some of these teams decide to relax over spring break and not do anything. And I've seen South Jeff back-to-back years. They've chosen to just relax, and then their first game out of spring break, they've lost both years. And so it just says, like, it's not helping them to just relax. Well, then you flip to the other side. You have General Brown, who chooses to go all the way to Myrtle Beach to play in a few games, and they lost both of those games by more than 20. So it's not really helping their team chemistry as much. I mean, they get to enjoy the bus ride, and they get to have, fun and enjoy it as a team.
Bonding. Maybe a lot of team bonding when you lose by 20 too. It's not great team bonding.
I've lost by 20 before. You bond as a team, but it is a long team bonding experience.
Yeah, it's very drawn out.
It is, and it feels like it will never end. And so I completely agree. I feel like, why not just let them play? Like, let them go. If they choose not to schedule a game that week, then that's on them. But don't take it out. Like, don't say, well, you can't schedule a game here. Like, at least allow coaches to make those games available.
We should be trying. The other thing is, I think they pushed back the start of the season because they were so sick of starting the season in the gym and playing in the gym for so long. But this year, we were outside day one. It was actually nice in April when we started, the end of March. And I get it, but like at the same time, I'd rather be practicing earlier in March and in the gym if we have to, in order to start playing if we can to get these games in. This has been one of the craziest seasons in starts and stops that I've ever had. I feel like we've started the season 3 times over. Because we'll go for a significant... We have had 7 games rescheduled. We have played 13. So it's just been... I feel for every AD out there as well who is completely pulling their hair out trying to figure this out. Because, man, can't be fun.
Yeah, and I mean, even today, there was the forecast of just terrible storms. And South Jeff was supposed to play against Watertown today. So what they did was they came up with 2 separate locations. If it was nice out, they were going to play on this location. If it rained, they would play at this location. Yeah. Because they just had to get the game done with. They had to get it over with. So they were like, we're going to play this game no matter what. If it rains, we play here. And they actually ended up playing on the rained location because it did end up storming early this morning. So they did end up having to play. It was at the community college over at GCC, the place I've called my home stadium for the past 2 years. They ended up playing on that field because it is a turf field, and they had to play on that one today. So it's just been, we've gotten to that point where teams won't even cancel. They'll just be like, all right, we'll just play over there now, and get the game done with.
Yeah, I will give the Frontier League and the North Country a lot of credit too in their ability to navigate this schedule pretty well, combining games, doing double headers, triple headers with each other, kind of round robin-y at everybody's location. Copenhagen has done a phenomenal job of hosting lots of games because they do have that turf facility, and I think that's where we have to start branching out and being ready to go. I personally hate turf, especially for baseball and softball, but maybe it's one of those things that we can't really avoid up in this in the Northeast at this point. I know from a college standpoint, playing baseball or softball is one of the toughest and most frustrating existences known to man, because you play most of your season out of state and down south, and then you come back and you're just going to play in crap weather and you have to just accept it.
Yeah, our team this year had 53 total hours of travel time for different games. It's just, you go for a very long distance and then you play and you're like, oh, this is nice. And then you get on the bus and you get back and you're like, wow, I need to throw a winter jacket on. This is freezing cold. For our team, I think we played in 3 games this year before we were able to practice outside because of the weather up here. But yeah, thankfully we're a community college, so we don't travel too far. But again, when you travel 53 hours in, I think it was a 56-day time span between the start of our season and the end. Yeah, that's a lot.
It is. All right, Now it's time for kind of the fun section. This is what we call the breakdown. All right, I'm taking you guys to task here with some trivia questions about Section 3.
Oh boy.
So, one is easier. Let's see. One has multiple North Country teams, so that might be too easy for you, but we'll see. All right, Josie, I'm going to throw this one first challenge to you. There are 4 teams in Class C and D named the Blue Devils. Can you name them?
I think Poland, they're the Blue Devils, right?
They are the Tornadoes, so no, not that one. Their color is blue, though. They at least have that. There's a school that starts with P on the list, though.
Pulaski, that's the one I was thinking of. Yeah.
There you go. All right, we got that one.
Pulaski, Sandy Creek, maybe?
They are blue, but they're the Comets.
Let me pull up my list of schools. Let's see.
Man, we go to cheating real quick here.
Yep. Hey, it doesn't say if they're blue or what.
That's true. That's true. It's just a list of schools. Yeah, I'll give it to you.
Okay.
Josh is waiting anxiously. You have a very similar question, Josh.
I'm not talking much because I probably would be doing worse than her now.
Yeah, I'm lost. It's not Hamilton, not McGraw, not Sackett's, not Alex Bay, not Lafargeville, Copenhagen. Not Lyme. Is it Madison?
Madison is another. Yep, you got Pulaski and Madison. There are 2 more. I'll give you a clue. They are in the C's.
Okay, that's what I thought. Dolgeville? No.
Dolgeville is one.
Yeah.
Yes, all right, there you go. There's 3. You're missing one more.
One more. I don't know. You got me.
All right, the last one is Cato Meridian. They're the last Blue Devil. And the only other Blue Devil that's in Section 3 is Camden. They are the other Blue Devils. So there are 5. So if you're a Blue Devil, you're not that original. But you are more original than the challenge I'm going to throw Josh's way. You do have more choices here, Josh. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different schools in Class C and D that are the Knights with a given color. Can you tell me the 6 colored Knights that are in Class C and D?
Oh boy. Loudville is one that I'm thinking of.
I believe Loudville are the Raiders, so
Wow.
and they're Class B, so you gotta go smaller than that. There are 2 North Country teams up in here, though. Here's the South Jeff kid coming through. Josie knows one for sure. She's got 2 of them locked down. I know that.
Well. Yeah. I played against a bunch of teams. Lafargeville is that was the one I was thinking.
Lafargeville is one. They are the Red Knights. You got that one.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking of Red Knights, not Red Raiders.
Gotcha. Okay, there's another one in the Frontier League.
Whew.
They are rivals of Lafargeville, I would believe.
Would Copenhagen?
Copenhagen are the Golden Knights. Yes, there you go. The Golden Knights of Copenhagen. All right, now we've got 2 Syracuse area schools are on this list as well. One of them is private, though. And I guess technically not a color. And it's questionable whether they're a Class C or D because it depends what sport and what season.
Oh man, my mind is just running right now.
It's different. Everyone else is sitting there going, "Oh, I know all of these," but when you're in the moment,
I played against this team like, Whew.
There's not even too many big schools, so you really don't know this one, huh?
No.
Would you like a clue, or are you giving up?
Gosh, would Hamilton be one?
Hamilton is one. Yes, the Emerald Knights.
All right.
Fun fact, they used to just be the Emeralds. It's Good thing that they changed to the Emerald Knights. That sounds way cooler. Being a rock
Knights.
does not sound very cool.
No. I feel like I'm losing it there, though.
You even talked about one in your game of the week, actually.
Oh. Boy, that's...
And I'll give you a clue. Weed Sport, I think, was the team that you said they were playing against. But Weed Sport are the
so then it would
Wolverines.
that'd be...
Oh, no, it's not that one.
No.
It was sorry, it was the other game. The Sukhoi game. Sorry.
Yeah. Fabius Pompey. No.
Oh, that was Fabius? No, that was the other one. That was the one I confused that with, too. Yeah, no, they're the Falcons. Does start with an F, though. Even got a hyphenated name, too.
I even said... I just started looking at my notes, and I see it myself. Frankfurt Skylar Maroon.
Yeah, Frankfurt Skylar, the Maroon Knights. All right, we'll put you out of your misery. Bishop Ludden are the Gaelic Knights, so technically not a color, but they are the Knights. And Tully are the Black Knights. So we got a lot of Knights. Not super creative if you're in Section 3 and you name your school the Knights. And the higher and the upper classes, Holland Patton are the Golden Knights as well, and then RFA are also the Black Knights. So not too much creativity going on with the Knight names. So you have cool logos, but just know, well, except Lafargeville's is a little weak if we're being honest. Josie's getting very upset. She's like, my little cartoon Nightman that some junior drew 20 years ago is awesome, and she's very defensive of this Knight.
It might need an update, but I still think it's very, very cute.
All right. Just in terms of corrections here, I like the PTI at the end when we have a few errors. So we'll apologize to any of those that we made on the day. I think we said Fabius Pompey. We got Fabius Pompey on that one. They will definitely yell at me if we go a whole show without correcting that one. I had to correct someone announcing a game once for that one too. Although Pompey is cool, but they didn't get blown up by a volcano. So Fabius Pompey. I think Josie said the fourth quarter instead of the fourth inning on one of our game recaps. So that one's solid. Someone's been in lacrosse brain. That's where we were there. I have no idea how to pronounce Vaughn's name from Belleville Henderson. I don't know if it's Ely. You got to let us know, Miss Vaughn, what you are. And then Sukhoi, I don't know what you said. It sounded like a Sockhoit. It sounded like you were hawking a loogie a little bit there, which I did like, but maybe the Red Hawks won't. So there are corrections. Thank you guys for tuning in this week for the CNY Sports Authority podcast. Josie and Josh, thank you so much for repping the North Country for us this week. And we'll probably see you maybe next week for the sectional rundown as things get really real as we come to the end of the year. This is the CNY Sports Authority, small schools, big coverage. CNY Sports Authority.
The whole world was a playground until the sun went down.